I'm Amy Stasiewicz, and welcome to The Minutes. Thanks for listening today. It's great to have you along on The Minutes this week. This is the City of Thunder Bay podcast. The Minutes takes a look at what happened at Thunder Bay City Council and standing committee meetings. But this week we have a special edition of the show, where we'll be chatting about the city's Smart Growth Action Plan. You can find The Minutes wherever you get your podcasts, including our YouTube channel and our website, thunderbay.ca/theminutes. If you want to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening at City Hall, hit that subscribe button. Soon I'll be joined by Matt Pearson, Senior Advisor of Growth, to discuss the plans and strategies shaping the City of Thunder Bay's future growth. Today I'm joined by Matt Pearson, Senior Advisor of Growth. We'll be discussing the Smart Growth Action Plan, taking a closer look at its priorities, the progress that's been made, and the next steps to help turn the plan into action. Hi, Matt. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Lovely. Yes, lovely as always. Okay. So obviously you know the Smart Growth Action Plan in and out, but for most people, they've just started to hear about it in the last few months. Can you explain why it was even created?
Sure.
And what it is?
Yeah. And we've been telling this story for a while now, but I continue to go out into the community and talk to people that are learning about this. And this is, when you're starting something new, this is part of it, is really sharing the message of why this exists and what is it.
Yeah.
And so the why it exists is it's kind of a reaction to there's been a good growth story in Canada over the last few years. Let's say the last decade. Canada has thrown some economic growth, some population growth. Now, Thunder Bay in that equation hasn't really experienced that same growth. So, and growth is important for municipalities. We call it a smart growth plan just because it's not growth at all costs, or we're not seeking all sorts of growth. We're seeking what is kind of commonly referred to as smart growth. We want to grow in targeted areas. We have measured outcomes, and there's reasons we're going after these things. The first one is that there's rising financial pressure on municipalities to deliver the existing services they already do, meaning those costs are going up faster than inflation, and we're trying to look at ways to generate responsible, long-term, reoccurring revenue for the municipality. And the vehicle for that is through new tax-based assessment, taking land that is underdeveloped or undeveloped and giving it a lease on life to hopefully create more employment opportunities through zonings and commercial industrial lands. That's where we're getting most of the jobs in the community from, but also addressing the housing situation we have. There is Thunder Bay does offer a full spectrum of housing. And some categories within that need additional capacity. So the Smart Growth Plan is about, addressing the lack of growth over the last 10 years. Thunder Bay hasn't grown, and we maybe have grown into those creature comforts of no growth, where we can get across town in 15 minutes. Isn't that great? There's There are some interesting things that we see other municipalities experiencing that are having rapid growth. They are having a different kind of bouquet of issues to deal with. But lack of growth brings its own almost probably more serious bouquet of issues, in that it's going to be very tough to deliver on the services that the city has. So this plan is meant to correct that, bring a little bit of growth to Thunder Bay, nothing outrageous, very manageable. At the high end, at the completion of a 10-year plan, we're looking for 10% annual tax-based assessment, 3% annual tax-based assessment growth, because we believe that will reasonably stay ahead of inflation. And I think in very basic terms, if you're talking to business people, if you're talking to people that run not-for-profit organizations, they can understand. You want to keep your revenue, your money in slightly above your money out. And so that's really one of the goals. We know to do that, we need to increase our employment lands. Most people relocate here or are seeking opportunities to improve their careers here. So we need to make sure that those opportunities are available. And with that, there is a correlation. If you want to achieve 3% tax-based growth, you're going to need people. And so whether these are people choosing to stay in Thunder Bay or new people coming to Thunder Bay, we would like to target about a 1% annual population increase. And again, not only is there a correlation to that 3%, but we believe that that's a manageable level for a community our size to absorb and people not notice any of the annoying pains that comes with too much growth.
Yeah.
Or unplanned growth.
Yeah. And I think, I've been to cities where you visited there and then you go back maybe 4 years later and it's like...
what's happened?
Like so much development where it's kind of like hits you in the face. But, which is good. But yeah, like you said, some people have...
If you drive around areas that have had a lot of growth, and there are areas of southern Ontario, there's areas of southern Alberta, where there's been a lot of growth, and they're developing their own action plans. But it's more about how do we, holy cow, look at what's happened. Maybe we would have made a few decisions differently, seeing how rapidly things have happened.
Yeah.
And so a lack of that framework, this framework forces you to think about what's going to happen if Thunder Bay grows by 1% a year. Where are these people going to live? Where is the mobility within the employment network for people to improve their job or their career prospects? So having a very a little bit more dynamic community that is working with growth instead of reacting to it, and really trying to make sure everyone feels that it's the right growth.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, how about you also, and maybe I should have started with this, what is your role with the action plan?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I'm the Senior Advisor of Growth for the City of Thunder Bay, and my work is very focused on the Smart Growth Action Plan, but also the kind of body that supports the plan behind it, which is Task Force Growth, which is really it's a collection of 25-ish local leaders, whether it's business, institutional, Indigenous, academic, the business development areas, economic development, have come together to form a group that really is our bridge to the community. Mm-hmm. Not only are most of these people representing large institutions that have huge numbers of employment, they sit on lots of land in the city, they're active members in our community. Mm-hmm. And so yes, we did select some based on the job title they had, but really it was about what do we want, what do people want to see in their community? So my job is working with that group, and we meet quarterly right now. My job is, we started out by creating the plan, and this is not something we put out to a consultant. This is something we took in-house, and it was a lot of work for a great team at the city. It was done by a team, and I can't state that enough. But now we have this plan. And if we don't want it to be static and we don't want it to sit on a shelf and just look nice, I think it looks great. But we need to activate this plan. And that plan needs a champion. That plan needs a heartbeat. And that's sort of what the senior advisor brings. The senior advisor is looking to make sure that those 108 actions that wound up in that plan can translate into meaningful change into the community, and also talk about the why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so the city has done a lot on the back end to make sure that we have the horsepower to deliver on these actions. But we always got to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? What is the long-term impact? Is there a business case for it? Not all things have business cases, but if there is, we need to understand that. What is the ROI on these investments? And how forward-looking are we being, making sure that we're stepping on solid rocks and not getting soakers?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
And if you haven't looked at the plan, you should. But you're talking about the action items, and there's 108. And some are short term, some are like medium
term,
long term, 10-year plan type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what challenges and opportunities were the city trying to address when creating the plan? You kind of mentioned some of them, but
yeah. So I think the challenges are well known. We have a business community, we have an employment sector that is looking for growth.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues. The other issue is the compounding effect of not being able to keep up with inflation. So there's a financial component. There's a people component. we are an aging community. We need to bring in, we have lots of parents come forward through this process. Excuse me. We've had lots of parents come forward through this process and say, we would love for our children to have opportunities to take this education they've received from, whether it's outside of Thunder Bay or at Confederation College, Lakehead or Nausom or wherever they've gone to trade school, and do that here. There is a strong desire for families. They want their children to enjoy Thunder Bay the way they have and have those same opportunities. So delivering on that is important. That's meaningful for the people that are here now. The forward bit about looking for growth is municipalities are a competitive environment. If you're a large employer, and this is more so the work of the CEDC, right? They're making sure that companies have lots of options as to where they locate, who they employ, how they employ people.
Yeah.
And the CEDC does a great job of making sure that Thunder Bay is on the radar, but there's the component that the city needs to bring. We need to be there with making sure that there's available lands, and then when land is available, privately held or publicly held, whatever it is, that there is servicing to the sites. There's consideration about planning, like all those planning considerations that come into play, environmental considerations, all of those things. I believe we have a team of champions here at the city that are so passionate about all of those things. And so there needs to be thought to it.
Yeah. And
so I think this provides a strong framework to just advance some of those topics. And so I might have drifted from your original question.
No, it's good.
You can always bring me back.
Yeah. It's all great information. Okay, you talked about the task force and key partners. So, like, say, the college, the university, the chamber, do they all take this plan kind of back to their teams and try to incorporate some of the things into their, future plans? Yeah, so this has been sort of, when you start out a new project, you've got a goal. Yeah. One of those quiet goals that maybe you don't put on paper is that not only does this document provide a bit of a framework for growth, and you want to see it be adopted, the more we can move the heart of this plan, and I don't know, this may come off weird. Yeah. If we can move the heart of this plan away from the city. Yeah. If the city is driving this entirely and independently, it will achieve some level of success. Some things will get done, and they'll get done well, and we'll realize some of the goals. But for it to really reach its potential, the more we can have the community participate in it. So one of the things I've loved to do is, through this process, I've been tapped on the shoulder, Matt, we'd love for you to come and present to our board. We're looking at redoing our strategic plan, and we want to make sure that we're working in step with our partners in town. When you have an entire community focused around a plan, and they all see parts of it, how they can contribute, both as citizens, but also as organizations, whether it's institutional or business or however. We have a whole city picking up the weight and kind of walking the ball in the same direction. When you talk about smart growth, it can literally, I do believe everyone has a role. Yeah. Whether it's working on what's existing, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's making sure that we're taking care of our most needy, when we're looking for moving professionals to town that are looking for high, more expensive homes. This is a dynamic document that needs to really be all-encompassing, because I don't think there's one part of things that a city does that can't be tied back into smart growth. Yeah. And so being able to get out into the community, to talk to other organizations about how they can incorporate growth, and to be honest with you, they're coming to us. Mm-hmm. They're coming to us. Hey, when I see an opportunity, I'm not shy. I will knock on a door and kind of say, look, if there's any common ground here, I'd love to chat. But a lot are coming to us saying we see the opportunity here and we want to participate. And that's been like probably one of the best early success stories to share that component of it. Because if we can elevate a lot of organizations and rally behind growth, I think there can be real meaningful impact for everyone here in Thunder Bay. Yeah, for sure. And these different organizations have different contacts. Like I'm just saying, the university, they have their alumni or their new students that are coming in, and right when they start school, you kind of want them to stay here. If you look at how new people enter a community, there's
quite a few ways.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore the impact of the post-secondary institutions and students coming here. We're hosting a family tonight that their daughter is coming to Lakehead. She's going to play basketball.
Nice.
And these are friends from Southern Ontario, so they're coming over. And we love showcasing Thunder Bay and what we have to offer. And every one of those people is someone that is going to make a life choice where they work, where they want to raise a family.
Yeah.
These are opportunities we get every day, and the post-secondary schools and the trade schools bring us those opportunities.
Yeah.
We need to take advantage of them.
Okay, so recently a new team has been brought on to help implement the plan. Can you tell us a bit about the team and their roles and how they play in making the plan come to life?
Yeah, this has been exciting. This is, I almost alluded to it earlier, but we now have a project management office. There's 108 actions in that action plan in the mid-70s directly driven by the city.
Yeah.
Some of these things are pretty big and complex and require lots of engagement. They require working with the community, working with the proponents, working with private landowners.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have an infrastructure on the back end of staff, a team that can really execute this. So through council, we were able to stand up what's called a project management office. It's a team of 4. They're all project managers. There is a head of the project management office that will probably be reporting on great updates to council. But what we have now is a team that can take these actions. We've gone and collected ideas from the community and the task force. We've vetted them. We've put them in it. We've put them in an action plan. We need a way to execute on this. Through consultation after the Smart Growth Action Plan was approved by council late last year, the first question I get everywhere is, how are we going to do this? You got me. We're here. I see the opportunity. How are we going to do this?
Right.
That project management office is going to deliver a lot of the how.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of actions are being independently run, whether it's a department or a division that clearly has that in their mandate.
Yeah.
They are going to do that work independently. Our partners of the other 30 to 45 actions in that plan, they're leading those actions. So the ones that are really, and there's about, I think, I don't even know the number that has been finally selected.
Yeah.
But that project management group is going to really help us deliver on what the plan promises. And that's essentially, if I were to say in one line, what are they going to do? They're going to help us deliver on what that plan promises.
Yeah.
So very excited. And they're up and running.
Yeah.
And they've been up and running for a little bit now. So it's exciting. This is happening.
Yeah. I know. It's nice when things, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you're unaware of the action plan, and you're unaware of a project manager office, you just think stuff's happening, that's great too. You can drive around town and just feel that there's a renewed energy in the air.
Yeah.
There is, there's so much positive going on. We can't ignore the negative, and there are negatives, but we need the positives as well.
Yeah, 100%. Are there any recent changes or updates since the plan was approved in December? And I'm sure there are lots, but maybe any obvious big ones.
And so I just went to council to provide an update, and the council process limits you to 10 minutes. I can talk about this stuff forever.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot happening behind the scenes. And I know the project management office, that's an internal thing, but that really delivers. That really is delivering.
Yeah.
So that can't be stated enough. The other parts are, there was a lot of, actually, a lot's the wrong word. There were some things in motion prior to the action plan being, and I get asked this question. I'm like, well, you put it in the plan, but it was already approved by council. It was already happening. And you know what? Yes, it was. It was. And let's use the turf facility as an example of one.
I was just thinking,
we're going to get this structure in our community. And a lot of people would debate online about the value of that structure and whatnot. And it wasn't a Smart Growth Action Plan item before it came. It came out of a need in the community that's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
But I think what we've been able to tell people is that there is a use for that facility. When I talk to the public and they're like, I have no use for a turf facility. I don't have kids. I'm not going to use it. But I'm going to pay for this. And I'm going to pay for this for a long time. And without correcting anything, I just point to the opportunity that like I said, municipalities are a competitive environment. You may not directly benefit from that facility as a user. But if you own a business or you work at a company or you have, I will say the impacts of a facility like that are widespread. Families make choices about where to move. And when you're attracting, Thunder Bay needs specialists. We need both medical specialists, we need academic specialists, we need specialists in biosciences, we need specialists in all these new industries that are coming out. And one of the number one components families look for is, what are we doing outside of the 9 to 5? Mm-hmm. And is this community offering that? If we want strong economic development, if we want to support companies bringing in talent to this community and having them look around and say, this is a place I could raise a family. The value of a turf facility, the value of being able to provide a family with places where they can exercise and recreate is very important.
Yeah.
And you look at the competitive environment around Canada, there's not a lot of cities that are around 100,000 people that don't have at least one of these facilities now.
For sure.
So tying in an existing project and showing how it actually benefits smart growth is one of the elements of the plan. So I think the question started with what has changed.
Yeah.
The way we communicate and talk to the public has changed. We are now benefiting from a population. As much as many people have heard this for the first time, a lot of people have paid very close attention to this since the outset. And so we now have a population, when we interact with the public, they understand what smart growth is.
Yeah.
A lot of them do.
Yeah.
A lot of them understand what the motivation is. A lot of them understand what the goals are, the benefits, the risks, the whole SWOT analysis, if you want to get technical. Yep. But so these are enriching conversations. So the plan is changing. We're having more mature conversations around growth. And this is why organizations want to participate. Mm-hmm. They see the value add. They see the shared benefit. And so those conversations pivot from the development of one, the idea of one, to now we have one, and now we're doing it. And we can get into great conversations of the best way to do something or the best priority to do something in.
Yeah.
Those are healthy conversations to have. And when I have engagement now, we're not talking about the smart growth plan in its entirety. We're talking about the actions that are impacting this group, or they want to participate, or they see a better angle. It's really, so I would say the conversations we're having are getting way better. Mm-hmm. This plan has now got the horsepower added by the project management office. It's also been integrated into something called the city manager work plan, which probably means nothing to the community, but to us here at the city, this is a plan that's been put forward by John Collin that says what we're working on, what the priority is, all of these things. This is something you want your public administration to have. It's very transparent. Yeah. I think John reports on it a few times a year to council, and it really structures the work we do.
Yeah.
If you ever have questions about where your municipality is pointed, that might be the first document I touch.
Yeah.
Strategic documents are great, but the actual progress that's made in that work plan. So the Smart Growth Action Plan is fully embedded in that.
Yeah.
There's not only are we accountable to the plan, we're accountable to that city manager work plan. So that's been a huge step.
Yeah.
And then continuing, we are evolving a task force that was very focused on developing a plan, and now we're using them as a bridge to the community, a way to advance actions, a way to bring groups together. A lot of what we're doing is bringing people together, which is great to see. And so, I'd say we're maturing. I don't know. And the other thing, it is a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
But it's not like in 2025 or in 2035, we're done. It's like, great plan, everyone high fives, leaves, stage left. This plan is sort of a 10-year lens out on growth. So next year, and which basically means in 2027, we'll be updating the plan. And so it's a living document. Yes, we print copies, but it is a living document. So I as I meet with people, I take extensive record keeping on what people want to see in its next iteration. There's going to be, I would say I'm surprised by the amount of progress being made on the plan so far. And I know we've got a 10-year plan with 108 actions, but there's over 40 actions right now that are in motion.
Yeah.
Which I think is exceeding even our expectations of how much this is happening, and things are happening. Now, we're going to hit roadblocks. Some things will go slower than we would like. Some things will advance faster. That's the nature of moving a large, complex plan forward.
Yeah.
And you've got to take opportunities as they present themselves as well. We have to make sure some of these things are living, and a document as important as this needs to live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the changes have been, in this year, has been a great pivot forward, and I think we're running.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's a wrap. Thanks, Matt, for the great convo as always about the Smart Growth Action Plan.
Right on. Thanks very much, Amy, and yeah, always a pleasure.
That's it for this week's episode of The Minutes. A big thank you to Matt Pearson, Senior Advisor of Growth, for joining me. You can catch The Minutes every week wherever you get your podcasts, on our YouTube channel or on our website at thunderbay.ca/The Minutes. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. I'm Amy. Thanks again for listening to The Minutes, and have a great week.